Hey people, Paul here. Time to look at the next batch of lists, starting with the delightful Hanzo with his Raven Guard successors. I wonder what we could see. Oh look, Centurions. So it's long range marksmen, master artisans, which is a weird choice for Raven Guard. I think the marksman's pretty okay, but master artisan seems a bit weird choice. Basically, because you have so many shots with these things, being able to reroll one doesn't really matter, but we'll see if it comes into play with anything down the list. So, first battalion. Is it battalion? Yeah, probably. First battalion, we're looking at Captain, Thunderhammer Storm Shield, so your basic Smash Captain. Probably going to be a Chapter Master, Chaplain, Master of Sanctity. He's probably going to have the plus to charge, and some other thing. Incursor squad, intercessors, big squad of intercessors there with the Thunderhammer with bolt rifles. Guess it's okay. I don't think there's anything wrong with that really. Yeah, standard having lots of intercessors is good, so take intercessors, guys. Elites, two big blobs of Ascents. Seems quite outdated now, seeing as though they can't Master of Ambush. It's basically, this is all Deep Strike, which is 900, basically 980 points of Deep Strike, which is okay. I mean, it does what it does. You drop in and you kill shitloads of stuff, but if you're going second, you run the risk of getting shot off the board, turn one, and you also run the risk of being screened out by things like move guard, because they can screen out massive amounts of room with like 3 or 4 guard squads, and make it so you can basically only shoot guard when you drop in. So that is a concern there. And then the other concern here is Centurions with grav amps. Like, they're good and they'll kill something, but they're expensive for what you're getting here. Like, 350 points for like 5 grav amps isn't great. I think a drop pod with Devastator Marines is cheaper and it's more versatile, because you don't have to spend CP, and also it's a drop pod as well. So see about that. I mean, it's pretty standard though to have all that, because you can just break the enemy's back if they don't play the game properly. But it is, I think a lot more players are better at screening out this sort of thing. So then we go on to the next battalion, which is a Chapter Master, yeah, with Storm Shield and Thunderhammer, and then a Lieutenant with Full Boss and Grav Shoot. So basically, can Deep Strike. Actually, can't Deep Strike all of this, which is a weird flex. So one of these squads will have to be left at home in the deployment zone, and you're Deep Striking one of these, this. I think that's how it works. And then he has some Scout Sergeants with sniper rifles and intercessors. Yeah, it's a weird one. Long range marksmen and master artisans I don't think works with this, because you're taking the master artisans for this, I presume. The grav cannons is the only thing you'd be useful for, but even then, grav cannons, like one reroll isn't going to be that amazing, especially when you have full rerolls from Chapter Master. Like, what's the point? Is my question. But yeah, standard Raven Guard list. Not gonna look into it too much. Then we have Tyranids from Heckle, another one of my opponents, who's running Achilles Ridge Runners, lots of them. And I get that these things are good, but yeah, just don't go second. Basically, yeah, just try not go second is the main thing here, because lots of anti-tank lists out there, and they will just blow this off the table. The thing is about this though, you've got the Ridge Runners for the anti-tank, and they can sit in the midfield or like near the back and be fine. And then you have the Gene Stealers to pressure, and then you've got your Termagants to hold ground in the Hive Guard, obviously, for being Hive Guard. But if you come up against a Marine list, say it's Amagic's Ultramarine successors, and he has anti-tank to kill these Ridge Runners because they're pretty flimsy. And then he also has a Thunderfire Cannon to slow both these Gene Stealer squads. So if you're going second, you're tar pitted with this, and then this just like dies to the point where it's useless. not useless, but heavily impeded. So this is very much like, I need to go first turn and kill the things that can kill the Ridge Runners kind of list. And if you don't go first, and your Ridge Runners die, it ain't good. It ain't good at all. And also, this comes up against something like Necrons, and it has a bit of trouble trying to kill the Doomsday Arcs, in my opinion. But yeah, pretty standard GC layer Tyranid list for what we're what we're seeing now. And then we go into Whole Sea Shit, who's playing Dark Angels, and we have Dark Angels with a battalion of Azrael for the 4-up invulnerable for infantry, which is really good. Interrogator Chaplain, yep, chaplains are good. Who would have thought? And then Autobolt Rifles Intercessors are really good right now. Stalker Bolt Rifles, still not sure about taking these. Even for something like Imperial Fists, I just wouldn't take Stalker Bolt Rifles anymore. Autobolt Rifles just are really good. You have 3 shots, they're -1 in tactical, and yeah, why not just take Autobolt Rifles? And you can advance with them to get the Thunderhammers up. An Aggressor Squad? Why though? Seems like a weird choice for Dark Angels. I'm sure he has an idea for it though, so I'm sure it's not terrible. Then we got a single Talon Master with the ignore penalty thing, twin ass cannon, twin heavy bolter, Samael and Sableclaw. Yeah, both good units. I just my dumb opinion, but I think Raven Guard should be leaning towards taking 3 Talon Masters and Samael, and just playing behind that character keyword to just do loads of damage with like 6 assault cannons and 6 twin heavy bolter without being able to be shot. But that's just my opinion. And then we have Intercessors with bolt rifles, power fists on them. Not sure that's a great idea, because your D3 damage is not great. I think the best thing to do would be to cut one of those power fists and make that Thunderhammer, and then make it all the Autobolt rifles by cutting the other power fist. Probably would that fit? Something like that. And then we go into the meat of the list, which is the Ancient, the Deathwing Knights, and the Apothecary, and that's basically where all your damage comes from, and your ability to stay on the board comes from this. You deep strike all of that in the middle of the board, or behind their lines, or where it can threaten them, and then they have to deal with that, and it's tough to deal with it, because they have like a 5-up Feel No Pain, a 3-up Invulnerable, and it's just hard to deal with it. So it's super good, and they can regen with the Apothecary, so really good. And then they have the Black Knights on bikes, which is also just really good. I mean, Black Knights on bikes, the plasma damage they can put out is crazy. Just 5 of them though, so he hasn't gone too heavy. Not sure how I would change this. I think if you're going Azrael and you have this much infantry here, it's a good idea. And the Aggressors, I guess, to give them a 4-up. That's actually that's a decent combo. But the Aggressors don't get their maximum potential with Dark Angels, I don't think. I think you'd have to change those Aggressors for something else. It's just nice. Maybe just more Intercessors, because Intercessors are dumb. But yeah, a list to watch out for, I think. And then we're looking at Azurani. We have Eldrad. We have Samhan. This yeah, so it's a mixed attachment, which is weird. So that means he gets access to the stratagems, but not any particular trait. I think that's how it works. So what is he actually getting for this? Shining Spears. Let's have a look at Samhan to see what it does, shall we? Because it might be something interesting that I haven't taken the time to look at. You can reroll failed charges for units with this attribute, but I'm under the impression that they don't get the tribute because it's a mixed attachment. I could be wrong though. you get the attribute, but you don't get the stratagem. I'm not up to date on mixed attachments, so I could be wrong there. Have a look at stratagems, shall we? So can reroll hit rolls of 1 in the fight phase. So that'd be useful in the Shining Spears at least. It's reroll 1s. But yeah, so that's one of the Shining Spears, and then everything here is Eldari Blade, which is just filler basically there. And then he's got some Harlequins, Frozen Stars. Who knows what they do? Add 1 to their attack stick when they charge. So basically, they get Shock Assault. Not bad. So, oh yeah, that's a lot. That's a big troop. So he seems like he's gone like a big troop army. A Solitaire, obviously, Solitaires are one of the best characters in the game for mulching stuff. And then he's got this weird Alatok Supreme Command with a Farseer, Warlock, and Uranui, with a big Warlock Skyrunner bomb. This is a very strange list. It's like, I don't know. It's total infantry based Eldari with lots of different things. I suppose this is really like quite anti-horde when you think about it. I wonder how it deals with mech heavy lists, like flying mech, like other Eldari lists that we've seen that have been mech heavy. Because it struggled to lock those down in combat, and it struggles to kill them, especially if it's just shuriken pistols. Harlequin's Quiz, are they the blasters? I can never remember. If it is, they have a couple of blasters in there. But yeah, this is what I feel is the main threat, and then the Shining Spears, and then this, and the Solitaire, and then everything else is just filler basically. But the Skyrunners are really good. Shining Spears are really good. These troops with big numbers, if they're not getting shot at, are really good, and they won't get shot because they have to shoot out Skyrunners and Shining Spears. So yeah, quite a funny list. Then we're gonna look at Jamster with his Blood Angels, pure Blood Angels. So we have a battalion of Misthiston, Sanguinary Peace, 2 Intercessor squads, 1 Power Fist, 1 just straight up normal, all war rifles again, getting quite popular. Scout with combat knives, really good. Another battalion with Astaroth Captain, more scouts, and a Vanguard detachment of all the things. This massive overload of sanguinary guard is a massive thing for a lot of armies to deal with, because they're so durable, they're so hard to put down, and basically you hope that you've screened out enough, or you hope that you spread out enough that they can't like just pile in and consolidate into everything you own and murder it. It's so hard to put all this down, and the Death Company as well, just to mulch stuff. But it's incredibly hard to kill this. But I think I've played against this list. No, I haven't. I haven't played again. I played something similar to this when all this was in Deep Strike, or a similar amount to this stuff was in Deep Strike. It was a lot of stuff. I think it was just all the Sanguinary Guard, actually. And by the bottom of turn 1, he didn't have a lot left on the board. So I think that's the way you have to play against these Deep Strike heavy lists that put 90% of their, they put 49% of their list in Deep Strike. You have to play extremely aggressively and try and take as much of the board as you can in the first turn or the first 2 turns before he drops in. And then when he drops in, he has to drop in near enough his own deployment zone, and then he has to push into your line rather than dropping behind you, or if you've castled in a corner, he drops next to the castle and then you're hemmed in a corner. You want to push out so the area he has to cover with each charge, consolidate, pile in, you want to make that distance extremely high to make it harder for him to mulch through your whole army. So yeah, just play. You think you would play defensive against this, but you actually should probably play aggressive. Is my thoughts. So let's look at JB, who's playing Chaos Demons with horrors, Brim horrors, pink horrors, Changecaster, Becklor, Screamers, and then Arm on a Disc, Cultists, then Shedload Demon Princes, basically, and then Exalt Sorcerers. Yeah, so basically Shedload characters that you can't target behind a lot of horrors and bodies you have to kill first, and that's it. You have to kill the small things to kill the big things, and the big things are already next to you, and they're smiting you off the board, and they're doing shed loads of damage with their smites and or the warp fuckery, and yeah, that's why this is hard to kill. What this struggles against is horde armies like orcs and gene stealers, when they also have to go through a shitload of chaff to do any meaningful damage with their smites. And this army has a lot less ability to do a lot of small damage. It's got a lot of single target mortal wounds and stuff, so yeah, it could take a while to chew through a lot of wounds. And ideally they want to keep all their characters safe as well. So if you have a lot of deep strike in your army, they have to then reprioritize to screening out one side of their army to screening out all sides, and it just takes a bit more effort. So yeah, that's character smite bombs. So. And then we have a Drukhari. Is it pure Drukhari? It looks like it. Nope, we have some Eldari down there. So we have some Drukhari, Cabal of the Blackheart, which is probably the best Cabal you can have, just for the ability to Vect a stratagem, because there's so many powerful stratagems right now. 2 Archons, 3 Cavalite Warriors, cheap as chips, and the Archons are pretty cheap as well for what they are. 4 Venoms to put the Cavalites in and put your characters in so they're protected. And then we have another Eldari, Prophet's Flesh, with Drazar, Homunculus, Rax, and then a big bunch of Grotesques, 2 bunches of Taluses. This reminds me of a list I've played. I played it Northeast Open, and I think I would have won if I hadn't convinced the guy to charge his Taluses into my Fire Raptor, which was, I mean, it was the right move for him to do, and he was humming and hawing, and he didn't really want to do it because he thought they might die in Overwatch, and I was like, nah, they'll be fine. And yeah, they were fine, and they killed the Fire Raptor. But yeah, it was a very similar list to this. And then to cap it all off, he's got Expert Crafters, Master of Concealment, Crimson Hunters. This Master of Concealment, I don't like it. Having cover isn't amazing, really, for Crimson Hunters. I think the one that I would go for is Masterful Shots, ignoring cover, because you can just zip over behind the lines and then shoot them out of the cover. I think that's better. Maybe I'm wrong. I'm probably wrong in some fashion, and I'll get another message telling me how wrong I am. We're going to go on to Yoko, who's playing... this is what I think is the typical Eldari list right now. What people want to be running, and it's just a bunch of mech. So he's got Warlock, 3 Falcons, and then he's got... So it's Expert Crafting and Master Concealment, so cover and rerolling 1, because he's got the Star Cannon, Shuriken, and the Pulse Laser on the Falcon, so it's good to reroll. He's got Farseer Skyrunner, Warlock Skyrunner, a bunch of Shiny Spears, 3 Night Spinners, yeah, Masterful Shots, Expert Crafters, so rerolling 1 and then ignoring cover for the Night Spinners, really good again. A Wave Serpent in there because it's a hard thing to shift. And then an Air Wing of 3 Crimson Hunters and a Hemlock. Solid list. Really is. It's got a lot of damage. It's got a lot of Alpha Strike capability. You'll want to hide your army versus this as much as possible. And anything you can't hide, you'll want to put in Deep Strike. Because this is very much an army of this castles, and then everything else sort of tries to come out and kill you. So there is room there to do some cheeky charges. What I found when I played this list not long ago is Yoko lost pretty much all his flyers and two or three Falcons turn 1, because they're not that. They very much rely on minuses to hit, and that's basically their thing. Like, the Falcons aren't tough, and the Crimson Hunters are paper. Hemlock Wraithfighter's paper. And if you have a lot of rerolls, or you have the ability to reroll hits, or ignore hit modifiers, something like that, you can just chew through everything here. And I think that's where people have gone wrong with taking custom craft worlds on flyers. I think a Latok's still the way to go. Because if you don't have turn 1, you're only -1 to hit. 2 if you lightning fast. But if you go second with Fieldcraft, you're -2 to hit. I think it's a lot better. -2 is a lot better than -1. Or -3 is a lot better than -2. It's the difference between losing all your flyers or losing 2, I think. And the trade-off for being able to do a lot more damage isn't worth the possibility of losing all your flyers, in my opinion. So we'll go on to J. Pilks with his Custodian. Ooh, Imperium Soup. Yes. So this is how I think we used to see Imperium Soup ran, or some near approximation to this. So we have the Shield Captain, the Vixillus Praetor, 3 Palace Grav attack. Let's have a look at these guys, because I don't actually know what their stats are. So we'll have a look. Just to see how they are. So they have just one of these? Yeah, just one of these. So it's either heavy 2, strength 4, AP 4, 3 damage. Pretty good. You can reroll against vehicles, which is really good. Or it's 6, 5, -2, 1 damage, which less good. Problem here is it's only got one of these, so it's only 2 shots, and it's heavy, which isn't good. It's hitting on 2s, which ain't bad. My other problem here is it's toughness 6, and it's 8 wounds. It's got a 5 up invuln, but not the best. It seems a little bit of a liability. It's 75 points plus 25, so 100 points, which isn't bad at all. But then when you compare it to something like the Caldus Grav tank, it's just a lot worse, I think. So he's got Caldus, he's got Telamon, so all that good Custodes, heavy damage, very good maneuverability on the Grav tanks, and then the Telamon to be just standing there and taking it like a bitch. And then he's got a Vestroyan tank commander, basically detachment with the Hammer of Sundance, which everyone's taking. And then we see this Punisher Gatling Cannon, which weapons expert, I think is -1 AP, so it gets better. And then 3 guard squads. For 494 points, I think we looked at this yesterday. The Admech detachment with the 3 Belarus cannon and the 3 squads of Rangers was about this much, maybe slightly more. And I think it's probably better in terms of what you're getting. And I know the Hammer of Sundance is really good. It's probably one of the best guard weapons. It is the best guard weapon you have available to you. But tank commanders are really quite easy to kill, and if there's nothing to shoot because of line of sight, they're useless. And this doesn't look like it's got any line of sight shooting. That's why you have the grav tanks, I guess. But at the same time, you've got nothing to dig people out of fortified positions. And I think this guard detachment would be better just being an Admech detachment. And then he has a super heavy. He has a Housecrast Knight, Crusader Earth, Gatling Cannon, Battle Cannon, which is, if you have this, I don't think you need this. This is leaning too much on anti-tank, I think. Because you also have this as well, and all these. So you have the ability to go anti-tank with all of this. And the anti-infantry isn't great. So yeah, I would probably take an Admech detachment there instead. And then you've got the ability to give your Knight of the Cog for +1 save as in cover and stuff like that. So it's slightly better with that as well. And reroll 1s on Knight of the Cog, which is really good on the Avenger Gatling Cannon. Yeah, and then it frees up this as well and your CP to give this guy a relic, which is the relic Gatling cannon is probably better in terms of consistent damage and ability to last throughout the whole game than the Hammer of Sunderance is. I think. He says, thankfully. Then we're going to KGYM with his Mono Custodes, which has got a bit of a buff since they don't give up gangbusters anymore. Slightly better. It's a ground slog army. So we're looking at Valoris, Doniel Jetbike, and then 3 Custodian Guard, Vexillus Praetor, and then we're going to go on to more Shield Captain, Terminator, Doniel Jetbike, and then more Guard. And yeah, this is just going to be hard for some armies to shift off the board. But then it'll be easy for some armies to just tar pit them and tie them up in combat with useless things. Yeah, I think this used to be good. Is it still good? We'll find out, I think. In the current meta, I don't think so. Like, Assault Sense should really, with the amount of shots they have, melt through this. Just with the amount of ones that you'll eventually roll. But we'll see. We will see. Then we have Kaisor with his Tyrannid list. I thought that said Raven Guard successor. So he has Kronos, so double Neurothrope, triple Ripper Swarm, and then Hive Guard. So basically holding objectives and deep striking in other objectives, and then Zoanthropes as well. Always find it weird that people take Zoanthropes. Why? I don't know. I think if you're going to be using it for stuff like horror, they're pretty flimsy to be putting up the board to horror things. I think you're better putting on something like a Broodlord, or taking a GSC detachment with a Patriarch. Probably something similar to that. And then he's got another Kronos with Malanthrope, 3 Exocrines. Yep, that's the Exocrines thing that I was talking about. So triple Exocrine, giving them exploding 5s and 6s, giving them 3 damage. Yeah, it's all that goodness. And giving them reroll 1s because they don't move and they double shoot. And it's 3 Exocrines. It's a lot harder to shift that than 1 Exocrine, and it's a lot easier to get your full damage output at 3. And then we go into a Leviathan with Hive Tyrant, 2 more Ripper Swarms for the Deep Strike, and then a bunch of Tyrannid Warriors and a Malreceptor. Tyrannid Warriors I'm not really sold on at all. I'm not sure how many points they are, but I would think they're too many points to be that effective. Especially when they're basically amounting to just like elite infantry. They still have to walk up the board and do the damage. I think Gene Stealers would have been better in there. It's just you know, either 1 or 2 groups of Gene Stealers to put the pressure on for the Exocrines. My opinion anyway. Looking at Kingmaker's list now. So we're looking, fucking hell. I'm gonna skip this list because this is horribly formatted. I don't know how you could do this, but it looks like your standard Raven Guard. Look, I see Centurion, I see a Thunderfire Cannon, Chaplain Dreadnought. Holy fuck, this is really, really awful. Sniper Scouts, Whirlwind Scorpius. It seems like this guy's playing in the past though. This is an old list. Then we're looking at Leonard Knight, which I think is Khorne. So this is more Raven Guard, and it's got it's Raptors. It's Raptors. So we have Captain Phobos, Isidon, Lieutenant. So Master of Ambush guy, loads of rerolls. Sniper Scouts. Aggressors to Master of Ambush them. Assault Sense to be Assault Sense. Grav Sense to be Grav Sense. And then Captain, Chaplain, Infiltrator, Intercessor, Eliminator. It's Raven Guard. It's Raven Guard. You're not interesting anymore. We're looking at some Chaos. So we have some Iron Warriors, Dark Apostle, Master Possessions, Horrors. Weird mix up of the horrors there, I think. Like blues, Brims, Blues. Weird. Triple Lord of Skulls, and then Magnus. Not great. And I'll tell you why. You should really be taking... what am I trying to say here? You should really be taking a Disco Lord. The +1 to hit for the Lord of Skulls is absolutely incredible. Going from a 3 to a 2 to hit means that you can hit flowers a lot easier. Minuses to hit aren't that much a big deal, and I know you get Demon Force, you get to reroll everything anyway, but there's a big difference between rerolling 1s and 2s and rerolling just 1s. Your output goes up in like massive amount. So that's my thoughts there, and I don't think Magnus really adds anything to this list because, yeah, he has Death X and Warp Time, so he can turn off invulns and just run up the ward. Turn 1, Magnus gets killed. If he magically manages to get in, great, you've won the game. But that's what happens when you play Bash Bros list anyway. But I don't think, like, you've only got 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 units, and it's not that many models here to protect your backlines and hold objectives and stuff. So it's quite easy to just get swarmed or just get shot off the table by superior anti-tank and stuff. Just my opinion on that. I think Disco Lord would be better. Yeah. Looking at Larag, who's got Raven Guard successors and Blood Angels. So looking at the Raven Guard, it's our standard Raven Guard list we're seeing. Do notice that he has taken a Devastator squad instead of Devastator Sense. Only thing I would say about this is because you're obviously deep striking them. Because you Master of Ambush the aggressors. You're obviously going to be deep striking these guys. You haven't brought any ablative wounds in the form of normal Marines. So if you deep strike them and the enemy has an Auspex scan ability, they can go down pretty easily. And then also it's a lot harder for them to get a second turn of use. Looking at the Blood Angels bit, it's Scouts and Death Guard and Sanguinary Guards. Like, this could be inserted into literally probably any Imperium soup list, and it would just be a good detachment to have, really. 1,000 points of Blood Angels, it just goes and punches people in the face, is always going to be good. And there's nothing bad about that at all. So yeah, pretty interesting. We're looking at Man Bear Pig with his Tau. So I think we saw a fight with between Man Bear Pig and someone else. I can't remember who it was. Spaniard maybe. I think it might have been Spaniard. On Monday. So this was the list he was running, I believe. So he's got Commander in Crisis with Missile Pods, Ethereal, 3 strike teams, Riptide, Tactical Drones, yeah, so what's that, 17 plus another 11 is 28 Shield Drones, pretty good, plus any up here, no, just 28, and then another Commander in a Crisis with a few Flamers, I guess that's just to make it cheap, and then Missile Pod Enforcer, Breachers, and then a big Crisis Bomb with 12 more Shield Drones. I'm sure he had two Riptides. Am I wrong? And then a Supreme Command of basically Market Lights is what they're for. Market Lights, and then Commander and Enforcer. I'm sure he had more than one Riptide. Must be wrong about that. So yeah, you can see this tile list has sacrificed the Riptides for more Shield Drones for the Crisis and the other Riptide, which is perfectly reasonable. He's got a decent amount of commanders to shoot people to death. Yeah, this is what I expected more from Tau, was the, 22, 28, 30, 40 drones. It's 40 Shield Drones, and then a bunch of Marker Drones as well. My only thought about this list is it has, apart from these Marker Drones, it has 2 Marker Lights. So for him to get 5 marker lights to make the Riptide a decent pick, he has to hit both of these and then hit some of these, or he uses the stratagem. So if you kill the marker drones turn 1, which I think you should always try and be killing if you're playing Tau, should be, unless they have a massive saturation of marker lights, you should always try and kill marker lights. Like if they have a Pathfinder team, just kill it. Just kill it. It's an easy kill point, and it stops them getting their easy rerolls or their easy +1 ballistic skill. So kill these marker drones, and then he has 2 left plus the stratagem. So I think that's probably a decent enough way to go about dealing with this list. Another thing is screen this out as hard as you can. It has a range of 24 to 20 inches. I can't really remember which it is. Maybe it might be 36 inches. Somewhere around that area. It is doable to screen it out. You will have to sacrifice some units to do it, and it won't feel good. But really, if you're sacrificing a few troop squads to stop him shooting at a key unit with this, then it's worth it. And it makes it frustrating for him, because then he has to either hold it in reserve an extra turn and risk you having more damage this turn, or he has to drop it in a suboptimal place. So I think the key to dealing with this is make sure you're screening so much, and make sure you're not putting your key units in a place where they can die. That's a pro tip. Then we're going to look at Marius's Cadian list. So we have Knight Commander Pask, good pick. Tank Commander, good pick. 3 infantry squads with missile launchers. Interesting to see if that works. Missile launchers are weird ones in that they're not expensive, but they're not great at doing damage. Depends what you're shooting at with these, I think. If you're reserving it for anti-tank weapon or anti-tank weaponry, it's not going to be that great. But we have seen quite a few toughness 7, toughness 6 vehicles in the list we've been looking at. Definitely a lot of Centurions. Missile launchers, they're a bit of a waste on Centurions, but at least you have a decent chance to kill a Centurion with a guard squad that way. Then we have Commissar. 3 Basilisks for sitting in the back, and a Manticore with full payload, which is really interesting. So the Manticore with full payload is really good against those elite infantry. It's just gonna do a shed load of damage to them, and because you're Cadian, you're rerolling 1s, and it's just really, really good. Then we have another Cadian detachment with 2 company commanders, bunch more missile launcher infantry squads. Interesting to see this. I wonder if this will work. Heavy weapons team with mortars, so pretty used to be standard. And then 2 Hydra batteries, which is a decent enough idea because they get the +1 to hit fly, and fly is such a used keyword right now. They're pretty much always going to get a +1 to hit something on the opponent's board, unless you're playing, I don't know, against Gene Stealers or Tyranids sometimes, or Orcs even maybe. But it's very few lists don't run any fly. And then we got a final Cadian of a Supreme Command of Madillon. I have no idea who this is. Let's have a look. And then 2 Primer Psychers, and then you know what's happening next. It's a Baneblade. See what this guy does. Oh, he's a Psyker. Interesting. Infantry unit, give him +1. Add 1 to hit rolls. Okay. Very interesting. Okay. So he's got 3 Psychers here, and then an Engines here, and a Baneblade. With hull down deployments, it's always going to be in cover until it moves, which is decent enough choice. It's going to be tough to shift with the -1 to hit and the +1 save. It's going to be in a 1-up save with cover. -1 to hit. It's going to be doing damage at long range. And I think people have been sleeping on the guard stuff from Psychic Awakening a bit. Or they've been going towards the Scion stuff. But I think regular guard definitely have a lot of play with what they got, and it's going to be good to see this guy Marius do some work with it. So we're going to go to Morgan now. How many have we done? 35, 52. We'll stop at Mr. Barlow, shall we? If I stop at Mr. Barlow, there's going to be too many for the next one. Okay, so I'll stop a bit further. Right, so we're looking at a Drukhari, and then Drukhari, Drukhari list. So Kabalites with blasters, really good. Archon Drazar, Ravagers, Ravager, Homunculus, load of Racks, Scourge with Haywire blasters, and a shed load of Venons. I think I played against this list as well, and it was good. However, I don't want to say he played it wrong, but I think he needed more movement in the way he was playing it. He was quite passive. He's sitting back in his area. Can't remember what list I played. It might have been Admech. Could have been something else. But he's quite passive, and I think this list gives you enough movement to be basically everywhere on the board. You could do anything. You can do literally anything. So yeah, it's a funny list to play against. I will say that, because everything's in a Venom or a Ravager, and it's a weird one. It's very, very weird. So then we go on to Mono Blood Angels from Morgan. Is that Morgan? No, Mr. Barlow. Mr. Barlow. So we have Mephiston, Dante, and Lieutenant. Bunch of intercessors with Stalker Bolt Rifles. Don't really agree with these, especially Blood Angels. You don't need Stalker Bolt Rifles. Take all Bolt Rifles, walk up the board, give these guys Thunder Hammers, and they're going to be good. Rapier with Quad Launcher. I don't know why. If you're not... See, the reason people take Thunderfire Cannons is for the stratagems. It's not because Thunderfire Cannons are amazing units. I mean, they are pretty good for their points, but they don't... Their stats for attacking isn't gonna break the bank. It's their stratagem support that makes them busted. So this is a weird choice for me. And then he has double captain, double smash captain even. 3 sniper scout or 2 sniper scouts, 1 combat scout. Weird choice again with the sniper scouts. Just make them combat scouts. You don't need to have snipers. You're Blood Angels. You need to be in their face. And then finally Astrath, Sanguinary Agent, Sanguinary Guard, Eliminators again. Weird choice. I think might have been better if you just cut these Eliminators. Sniper Scouts just combat scouts, and then you would have had some points left over for some Death Company, in my opinion, or upgrading these guys a bit. Excuse me. Yeah, so weird choices with the sniper inclusion, I think. No Name with his Orcs Mono Death Skulls, which is not what we see really a lot of the time. So we have 3 shock attack guns. One's going to be a souped up Shocker because he's got the Dragois. Shed load of boys. Shed load of Gretchen. 26 Gretchens. Absolutely nuts. Oh, this is a really good funny list. So he's gone for the old speed freaks. So he's got the shock junk dragsters, which are crazy good. They teleport around the board if they get a chance, and it's just dumb. 3 blaster jets with the custom force field. So basically these jets fly around with the buggies and give them a 5-up invuln, so they become slightly more durable. And they're also not bad jets in their own mind as well. The only thing is, if they blow up in your lines, they can do quite a lot of damage to your own stuff, especially since you're trying to bunch around them. And then 3 Scrapjack, Megatrack Scrapjets groups, which are just good. And then these 2 Mech Guns, Tractor Cannons, don't really get them. I think he was thinking he's going to be seeing a lot of flyers, because they make things automatically crash and burn. We've seen some flyers. We've seen a couple Crimson Hunters, and we've seen a couple of Fire Raptors, but nothing really is on a massive scale, I don't think. which makes this pick of 90 points is weird. And I think he definitely needs more Gretchen for his big mechs. He could have used another 2 groups at 20 or another few groups at 10, just because 26 Gretchen isn't hard to kill, and then it's easy to maneuver around most of this army, I think. Especially when these are just small boys squads as well. Actually, looking at them, these are just 10 boys each. So if he does come up against flyers and he doesn't have first turn, it's going to be real hard for him. And also coming up against snipers is going to not be great. But yeah, it's a funny list to play, and a funny list to play against. Really is. This is probably the best list in... Wait. What happened? Oh, this is the worst list. This is the worst, because it's not AdMech. So we've got Tyranids with Nubzers. Another one of my opponents, I think. So he's got 2 Hive Tyrants and Neurothrope. Termagants, 20 of them. Tyranid Warriors, a bunch of them. Hive Guard, Biovores, Escarin, Tyranid Prime, Rippers, Termagants. A lot of bodies. A shitload of bodies. An absolute heckload of bodies. But again, there is a problem in this list, and it is that it has 1 Escarin, and it has 6 Hive Guard, and then it has 6 Biovores, and then it has some Termagants, and then it has some Tyranid Warriors. And the problem I see with this list is it has an Exocrine, a single Exocrine, and then it has these 240 points of Biovores. And I don't get it. Biovores, I've seen Rob, Tiger Team Awesome use them to great effect against stuff like Tau, and blocking off people with the Spore Mines, really good. But I don't think it's worth it to take 6 of them when you could just take another Exocrine or 2. And all these Tyranid Warriors as well, these could all be Gene Sealers instead, and they'd be faster and better. Hive Tyrants are always good. It's always good to take Hive Tyrants. I presume they have wings. They should always have wings, I think, really. The Hive Guard are good. But my problem is the Hive Guard, once they die, you've got nothing to dig people out of line of sight, and you've got nothing to go behind their lines. Basically, once the Hive Guard die and the Exocrine dies, you've got Biovores. And Biovores are good for weird fucky interactions and forcing people to do things the way you want, but they're not good at doing like loads of damage. They're actually shit at doing loads of damage. They're good utility units, they're not good damage units. And then he's basically just got a bunch of flesh bore Termagants, and then some Tyranid Warriors, which die to a stiff breeze as far as I can tell. I've never seen them being used effectively at all. But that could just be my wrong analysis. Hit me up with a comment to make sure you tell me how wrong I am. Then we're on to the best list in the game, and this is by an absolute gentleman called Onerthild. Something like that. And we're looking at pure Stygies AdMech. Is it too much Stygies? Yeah. What do you think is more powerful, guys? Do you think it's more powerful to be -1 to hit in the age of the reroll, or ignore AP -1? Because I've been having this discussion in my head for a while, and I firmly believe that ignore AP1 is more useful than -1 to hit. And that's basically because I looked at a lot of the popular armies right now, like Raven Guard and stuff like that, and a lot of Eldari stuff, and AP -1 was the sweet spot for most of their weapons. AP -2 in some cases, but mostly AP -1. And a lot of the very popular lists had rerolls out the ass. Like, they had no problem with finding rerolls somewhere. So that was my main concern with -1 to hit. It's very easily worked around. So let's have a look at the list anyway. So we've got engines here, a Manipulus, three Sniper Rangers, two Sniper Rangers and 1 Plasma Vanguard squad. Decent enough for what you're paying. Really, it's 47 points to have a Strength 7 sniper rifle. It's really good. And then we have Hector Rex, which is just the way you do it nowadays. You take Hector Rex and you put them in an Imperium list. We have Daedalosus, who is also really good. And then a bunch of Plasma Vanguard, and then some Electro Priests, and then Dragoons. And then we get to where all the points are, and that is Dune Riders, which are criminally undercosted and criminally underused. They move a shitload. They have like 12 stubber slots each. They're just really good for ferrying things around, and especially when all you're putting inside of them is these Vanguard squads with plasma. You dump them out, you shoot your plasma load, and fucking don't call the enemy back the next day. And it makes these plasma squads, and it's 2-shot plasma as well. 2-shot assault plasma is just crazy. It's probably the best infantry plasma in the game, I think. And it makes these very hard to kill as well. They're toughness 7, they're 14 wounds, I think. 3 up save, -1 to hit, and they'll probably have cover with the Canticle. So they're just really annoying bodies to shift off the table. But would they be better with the Ignore AP1? I think so. And then finally we have a Spearhead of the good stuff. So Icarus Onager, which is the right choice to take, obviously. Neutron Onager, which is the wrong choice to take, unfortunately. And then 3 Belarus Disintegrators. I think you'd get better use out of this detachment if you made this an Icarus Onager. And then made this a Thermite Cannon Disintegrator. Because I think a Thermite Disintegrator is just straight up better than a Neutron Onager. Even though it's 4 more points, or like 9 more points. I think it's just better. You're still not giving up Mark for Death at that point. Yeah, so best list in the game. Still needs some work. So what are we on now? Okay, let's go up to paper. So looking at Piazzano, who is running... What? I'm sure I clicked the right thing there. Okay, I'm going to try that again. So we're looking at Piazzano. There we go. There we are. That was weird. So he is playing Imperial Knights, so House Tyrannus, which is the right choice. 3 Crusaders with Gatlings and Thermals. Yep, that's the way it should be run, in my opinion. It makes these things extremely hard to shift. And then we have Graia Detachment, which is also incredibly hard to shift. Arc Rifles are really cheap for what they are now. I would, if you have leftover points for AdMech, just give your Rangers some Arc Rifles. Makes them very, very good, actually. Omnispecs to ignore cover, it's 9 points. I'm not sure that is worth it, though. That's 18 points there. You could just give them more Rangers, basically. Probably better. And then he also has Gallant, which is Crast, which is this is probably the right way to run Knights now, is to have your Tyrannus core of shooting, and then have your Gallant for your punching, because I know a lot of people like the Gallant, because the Crast Gallants, for the fighting stratagems and stuff like that. It makes them really good. But I still think the Tyrannus Knights are better, and I think that it's proven in a lot of the UK Knight players. They all take Tyrannus, and they all do a lot better than the American Knight players who all take Crast. So I think that's very telling in what is actually better there. So let's look at Panzer's list, who is playing Thousand Suns and Chaos Knights. So we've got Arm on a Disc, Exalt Sorcerer, Sorcerer and Terminator, 3 groups of Chaos Cultists. So you've got your character blobs and your screen there. And then we have a Despoiler, double thermal, War Dogs with autocannon, War Dogs with lightning locks, and then another Despoiler, another Morax, another Morax. Interesting to see these Moraxes starting to get played. I played around with them for a bit as Loyalist Knights, and they were really good. I think I like the Grav ones more. The lightning locks definitely did a lot of... they're basically Tesla guns. So it's 6-shot Tesla on 6s. which for knights is really good because it means they actually have an ability to clear some screens now. Yeah. So you've got your double despoiler, and then you've got your war dogs. It's pretty solid. This could be an Imperium list if you just turned it on its head. And I think a lot of Chaos players are going to that now. They're like, what Imperium list did good? And they're looking at the old lists that did good, and they're seeing what they can actually do to make it into a Chaos list. And this is something that I think has come up quite a lot. So yeah, interesting to see how that does against other lists. And then the last one for this part, we're going to be looking at Paper and his orcs. So we have Bad Moon's Battalion with double Weird Boy and then triple Gretchen, 15 Ludas. Yeah, that's your bread and butter sort of thing there, isn't it? Then we have an Evil Sons with Big Mech and Mega Armor with custom 4. Yeah, KFF and a War Boss. Again, standard thing. Boys. All with Sluggers and Choppers. Someone showed me very recently that Sluggers and Choppers are good, but shooters are just as good. Shooters are better in shooting, of course, because they're more range and they're more shots. Of course they're going to be better. But they're only very slightly worse in melee as well. So you're trading being slightly better in melee for being very much worse in shooting. And I think that's a trade-off that a lot of people are getting wrong there. And then he's got a Pain Boy for the 6-up, and then he's got Death Skulls with Shock Attack Gun, Gretchen, and then a bunch of Smash Guns. If you're running double Shock Attack Gun, just run triple. Just find points somewhere. Just make it. Cut one of these, put these up to 5 each, and then have another Shock Attack Gun. You may as well, because 2 Shock Attack Guns, you're going to be disappointed. But apart from that, this is pretty standard orc lists. Gonna Warpath one of the boys, gonna dejump the other boys, or you're gonna Warpath and dejump the War Boss or something like that to give him plus, and then deep strike the boys. You're gonna do something along those lines. It's pretty simple. If you're playing against this, you just have to basically kill things as fast as you can, and make sure if you're killing boys, you're killing entire units of boys. You're not splitting your fire between 2 units, or if you're splitting your fire, you never make sure you let them go below half strength, because at that point they can do Green Tide. So a good tactic to do is wipe out a unit of boys and then start shooting at another unit of boys, but don't let it go below 15. So yeah, it's annoying to deal with because the shock attack guns can be really good or they can be really bad. If they're really bad, you start to jump for joy and you thank your lucky stars that you've managed to avoid one of the worst units in the game to go against. And then the smash guns, basically just take Butcher's Bill against smash guns and kill 2 smash guns and you're fine for a point every turn. And I think big game is so this is 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 times 3 is some amount, 12, and then 12 times 4 is more than 40, so that's 52 wounds worth of big game hunter there as well. It's pretty easy to get. Yeah, it's quite not a bad list, but it's also not a terrible list to play against. You just have to be smart. You have to think about your deployment, think about what you're doing, and definitely think about your target prioritization. Playing against orcs, every unit has the potential to ruin your day. So you've got to make sure you kill the things that can kill your units the best first. And that's going to cap us off for right now. And when I come back for part 4, we're going to start with Raging Moose all the way down to Zoriath, and that's going to be our next 19 lists. And that's going to wrap us up. And then I might do a short part after that looking at the individual pods to see who I think might come up on top, but we'll see. We'll put that one on the maybe pile. But for right now, thank you very much for listening again, for sticking me through for an entire hour talking about fucking Warhammer lists. Don't take anything I've said to heart. If I've said your list is not optimal or bad, it's just my opinion. I don't know these lists as good as you do. You probably are better than me at the game, so don't worry about it, dudes. And if you want to drop me a line on Discord, don't